Hi everyone, happy Monday. It's Janet Wakeland back with yet another sneak peek from this amazing catalog right here. This catalog debuts on September 6th for public ordering, and currently demonstrators have been able to pre-order products for the purpose of showcasing samples, preparing classes, and things like that. You can get your hands on product in this catalog early by purchasing what's called a starter kit. You can purchase $125 of product for $99 with free shipping. That includes future order discounts of 20% and your decision to do something with the kit or nothing at all. So if you want to get your hands on product early, just let me know. And I'm going to entice you with 3 amazing products tonight. This is our Christmas Tidings Embossing folder. And let me see if I can grab a piece of paper to maybe put it up against to make it jump out at you just a little bit. But it's got words like decorations and love. Let's see if this makes it pop a little better. Yeah, that's a little better. So decorations, love, family, Christmas, joyful. It's got stockings, so Christmas elements and things like that on it. So we're going to give you some fun techniques for this folder, but just a real sweet embossing folder. Then we have this set of dies. These dies are not part of any bundle or anything like that. They're what I call standalone dies, and they are just really fun to work with. They're just kind of this eclectic mix of what's being called handcrafted elements. So you do have an ornament. Then you have 2 features that really make beautiful, like stained glass pieces. You have a beautiful star. This element here, I'm going to show you 2 ways to use it. You have a tag, you have a flower that matches and layers onto the tag, and then you have another fun shaped tag. The ornament does have some great embossing on the scrolls, and if I held it up real close, let's see if the camera will focus. So lots of embossing on it. Same thing with this element right here. You've got some really deep etching crisscross stitching marks on it. This star, this tiny little star, it actually comes out of the center of that star, so I just saved it to show you. And then these elements. And while I don't have a ton of samples, I did use this set once and I wanted to bring it in. This set here matches the one that we have in the annual catalog, so you can mix and match the greetings. And you've got you, Merry, New Year, Christmas, to love. This is and wishes. So these are all individual words. You've got the exclamation points. So again, mixing and matching however you want to. Love to you, love and wishes, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy Christmas, however you want to say things, and in that mixed font style. So really cool, versatile set. It is one of the most popular, the version of this, I think it's called Thanks and Hello. Don't quote me on that. But the version of this one that is a more generic greeting set with birthday and hello and thanks in it, in the annual catalog is designed the same way, so they're going to mix and match really well. So let's jump in and let's take a look at some examples, and I have a whole bunch of tips to share with you tonight. So let's start first just with the ornament, and hold on a minute. I need this back. Okay. Heard it hit the floor. We're going to need that for one of the tips here in a little bit. So here's the first one. I just did Balmy Blue. This vellum here is in the annual catalog. Man, I'm having a rough time tonight. I end up with an unscheduled night off from doing a sneak peek live for you, and now I can't talk. My apologies. I'm out of practice after just one night. But you can see some great embellishments on there. And then this element here, this is one of the first tips that I want to show you, is that you can use this element just as a tag, but it also fits behind your ornament. So you can add some little extra wow to that ornament, giving it a whole nother look with same color, different color. So it works on its own, but it also then will fit behind your ornament. And then just to give the background, we used the Christmas Tidings. So just a real sweet non-traditional color. I moved this up a little bit for one reason. On this folder up here, a little ways up, is a gingerbread man, and I didn't feel like this had the look of gingerbread. So it's up a little bit higher, but then you can see more of the folder down below, and I left the greeting off of it because everything on the folder is beautiful and the ornament's beautiful. So then playing just a little bit with that piece, that's a background piece, Mary, and I just layered it onto Cherry Cobbler, letting the paper shine. And then this element where your message would go up in here, this is from Basic Borders in the annual catalog. So when the card is closed, you've got this beautiful little border, some of our beautiful new paper. The Joy of Christmas is the paper here. And then I just used my scissors and fussy cut the words Merry Christmas out from that More Wishes stamp set. So we have that sample there for you. And again, playing around just with no greeting, although I would think I will put a smaller greeting. And in this case, I want to show you a little tip in what I did here with the ornament. Let me see if I have one that I can actually, yes, I do. Okay. So in this case, I did not take the center piece out. I left it in. I wanted that nice solid ornament. I used our distressed gold, put ribbon up through the little, it has a little hole on the top of it, so it has a little hole. Put the ribbon up through, and then on the back it's just secured with tear and tape. I put dimensionals on the card just to give the tone on tone a little bit more contrast, to pop it up just a little bit more. And again, we use that fun folder on the background. So a little tip, and I do this frequently with different things that I want to keep the inserts in. Instead of punching everything out, sometimes I like to keep those inserts. So I will take, and I will use tear and tape over the elements, just kind of grabbing them so that holds it in place so it's not going to pop out. So whenever I can grab that, and I think I had another one done for you, but whenever possible, it is what I try to do. So if I can get a piece that comes out without all of its little pieces, or if it's just a few that I can pop back in, I'll flip that over and then I'll run a piece of tear and tape over it. I don't necessarily peel the backing off, but it does help secure all of those little pieces, because sometimes it looks really cool with all of the pieces that normally would be popped out in, okay? And so I like that versatility and having that option of leaving it in. So then here is just a really sweet, quick, and simple card. And this one doesn't actually need a greeting on the front because it has all of the greetings. And this is Vellum. And so we just ran the greeting, the embossing folder through on Vellum. And we'll talk about this one. A bunch of these I'm going to give you some tips on. And then these two elements here that I told you work a little bit like stained glass. And that's exactly how I use them in two different ways. So in this case, I watercolored, I die cut some of our fluid 100 watercolor paper. And I'm going to show you that technique here. And then you're the best ever from the Very Best Occasion stamp set. And then in this case, we truly did do a stained glass look. And again, I'm going to give you some tips on accomplishing a lot of the things that I showed you. So let's put these up. And let me first bring in one of these ornaments. And I'm going to show you something fun. It does test your patience a little bit, so you have to be into fussy stuff. If you're into fussy stuff, you'll like this. And this works best with the small impressor tool, the small stylus tool. The smallest one works best. And don't do this in your paper trimmer with the scoring blade in there, because this really fine tip and the little where the hole is at actually gets kind of snagged and pulls up. Definitely do this little tip with the small stylus and a ruler. And all you're going to do is you're going to create a score line that goes down the center, and then you're very carefully going to just fold, and you want to just match up the scallops. And you're just going to fold those, and you're going to match up the scallops so that they all match up. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take some adhesive, liquid glue, and you're going to be able to start to create a really fun three-dimensional ornament that then you can go ahead and hang. You can hang it on a gift bag, you can hang it on a tree, and in this case I did just 3 of them. Okay, and it works just fine with 3. I think it gives you enough of the detail and things like that. You could obviously choose to do more, but I liked it with just 3. So just something real simple and easy to do with these different elements. Let me bring in my work paper as we keep working here, just so I don't get everything on cards and get things all kind of yucked up here. So let's start first with die cutting the fluid paper. And this is actually just something that's really, really easy to do. The watercolor fluid paper just really soaks up that water, okay? And it just gives it a really beautiful, different look. I mean, you can see here the watercolor paper and what it looks like here and here. Okay, so let's just do a little bit of this here real quick. I'm gonna just take my ink pad, I'm gonna press it down to transfer some ink to the lid. I have one of our water painters. Sometimes the tips will get dirty and stained. As long as when you squish water out, it comes out clear, then you know you're doing good. And I'm just gonna wet this up. And I'm just gonna start to just literally paint the leaves. And I'm not being totally exact. I personally like it if it's a little dark and a little light, so it does look a little watercolored. Now this is really, really narrow, so you're not going to be able to do the really fancy shading techniques and things like that that you would on a large envelope. I mean, these are narrow lines, guys, okay? So the goal is just to start coloring it. I can go back in if I want a little bit, like I'm just going to add some darkness in here. You know, wherever I want it to be dark or light, I'm going to go ahead and just start to color it. And that's exactly how I did this technique here. Again, die cutting that fluid 100 paper. I find it absorbs the ink and it works best for this technique. Could you technically do it with basic white? You could, but there's just something about the thickness of that fluid white and there's just a hint of texture to it that I think that just gives it a great look. So again, you're just gonna, let's just cover this for just a second. And let's just use our gorgeous scrape here for a second. Make sure this is all clean. I'm gonna clean this. Okay. And I'm just gonna come in here and paint. Now I'm not gonna keep the center in this one, so I don't mind going outside the lines. But it's just like a wash. It's just really soft and subtle. It's different than coloring it blends. You could color it with blends as well. That would give you a much darker, more vibrant look. In this case, I just wanted that soft element to it. But again, you can just see how soft that is coloring it. So don't forget to play around with that fluid 100 and do a little bit of die cutting and things like that with your fluid 100. So, I bet I didn't bring one to the table. Okay, we're gonna do a little pretend here for just a second, guys. Okay, so for this card here, what I did, I'm gonna explain it to you. And if you come back on Friday at 2 p.m., I will be doing an entire presentation on Vellum and we will be recreating this. But what I did here was I die cut the image. I die cut the image in basic black, and then I die cut it again from white. On the back side of this, I adhered vellum, put this in the hole, and then colored on the back side of the vellum before I assembled all of the layers. I hope that makes sense, but if not, we will be doing the steps of this card in my vellum presentation this coming Friday. So, but it's called stained glass, and it definitely does have that stained glass. And I thought by using black, it actually enhanced that look of stained glass just a little bit. A little tip when you are doing this technique, the more vibrant colors really stand out the best. So using, you know, like your azure afternoon and your blueberry bushels and your real reds, your granny apple greens, things that are very vibrant and dark work best. Because you're coloring on the underside of that vellum and you want it to come through. Your pastels aren't going to show as well. So in this case, I have, actually I have Lost Lagoon, okay? So that is a little bit lighter, but I call that a dark pastel. And I went over it twice. I let it dry and went over it again. Granny Apple Green, here I have, this is Berry Burst. Can you see how light pink it is because I'm coloring behind? And then this is actually Daffodil. Okay, so that's a little tip there for you on that one. Then let's pull in our little tree, and this will actually give you an idea of what I mean by coloring behind on the vellum. So I have the vellum. I'm going to turn it over, And I'm going to take my Stampin' Blend and I'm just going to go ahead and start to color it in. And if I flip it back over, you're going to see now that that's what makes that pop, was just by coloring on the back side. Now, can you color on the front? You most certainly can, and it's going to be a little bit darker having it on the front. But something about coloring it from the behind makes it a little bit more translucent because you have paper on top of the color as opposed to the color on top of the paper. But you could color from the front if you wanted to. And back to this card here for a second, I chose just to pop up, I missed the little lights, but you know, you've got a stocking lights, you could pick up as much as you want, but I wanted to draw your attention to this right here. Just a little extra fun. That is our loose sequins. And there are holly leaves, berries in 2 different sizes, and musical notes. So that's where that technique and that little idea came from, is by working with just those pieces. So a couple of fun tips for you. One of the other tips, and if you've watched any of my videos, you'll know that one of my favorite things to do is just to start cutting out some of the pieces in a couple of different colors. And if you're like me, you have a scrap bucket, so you're not wasting paper. And I find if I just start to cut a few pieces, the inspiration comes, as opposed to getting a brand new product and instantly trying to make a complete project with it. So I'll take it, I'll die cut out all of the elements, and I'll, you know, just from my scrap pile and some colors. Right now I was trying to think of what colors are in some of the new papers and, you know, what looks holiday-ish per se. Of course, you know, I always do vellum for my folders in a metallic, but I like to just play a little bit. They never go to waste because then that's where I find my inspiration, and I have a little folder that I kind of keep them all in nice and sorted, and then I have them to work with, and you'll see more finished cards in the coming weeks. But playing with your new products is one of the best things that you can do. Again, grab that box of scraps and just start running those dies through it. Maybe think a little bit about, you know, like, okay, it's holiday, so maybe I'll pick holiday color. Oh, there's a lot of gold in some papers or something like that. So using that to guide. And then just to show you, this is the one element I didn't use on any of the samples yet, is this sweet little tag here. And I didn't use this tag, but tags get tied onto any gift. They can also be tied onto the front of the card. I could have, instead of using that, I could have tied a tag on the front of that as well. So tags, I didn't feel like you necessarily need to be demonstrated, but I did want to give you these fun ideas for these projects here. So I still have lots more to show you. Actually, we're getting down towards the end because I don't own everything in the holiday catalog. I've appreciated some of those comments, but I do still have more to show you. So I will see you on Wednesday night at 9 o'clock. And we'll take a look at a couple of more beautiful stamp sets that are there in the catalog, and the decal circles. They are really cool, guys. So I will see you then. Hopefully some of you have gotten your catalogs in the mail already. And if you're still needing a catalog, make sure you message me. Thanks, guys.